area.
Angel Nieves is a former NYPD detective and says do not...
Everybody's looking for the monkeys.
Yeah. So you
Our smiles give you a little bit of a brief.
And hey there, folks. We get to do it all over again. I see Angel Nieves laughing because he's happy to be able to do the show, and so am I. We have a wonderful guest. First, we have to say welcome to Your Pet Detective. This is our weekly podcast about animals, how to find them, how to care for them, how to rescue them, all encompassing. And today, our show is going to be about pit bulls. We have a guest who saves pit bulls, takes care of pit bulls, and is going to educate us about the adoptability of pit bulls. Her name is Grace Sato, and we have some video. Angel, go to the tape. And there you have it. And when you talk about people doing multitasking, there's no better example than Grace Sato. She wears a lot of hats besides pit bull rescue. She is a special learning specialist in the New Jersey public school system. She's also a kickboxing instructor and also a firearms instructor. Grace, I don't know how you find the time to fit everything into your life, but obviously you do, and you do it quite well. The reason why Grace is with us today is because Grace fosters pit bulls. Pit bulls basically have a bad rap. I mean, they've been put in cartoons, put in movies. They're associated with aggression. Pit bulls are associated with a lot of negative things. So Grace, help us dispel the myth about pit bulls and why you rescue and foster them.
They are the loving dogs ever. They really want to please their owner. I've never experienced such dedication and loyalty as having these dogs. I had 2 dogs. I took in 2 dogs, permanently fostered these 2 dogs from a friend of mine who ran a rescue out in Long Island. And they were said to be unadoptable. So I had to permanently foster them. And it turns out they are the sweetest dogs. Yes, they've had some behavior issues because of past abuse that they have experienced in their life. And I've had to work with them through the anxiety and their depression and abandonment issues. And they turned out to be the sweetest and most loving and loyal dogs ever. And unfortunately, I just lost one on Wednesday. But I can't see myself getting any other breed because they are very kind, very gentle animals.
Well, it takes
think.
But it takes a special person to be able to do that. I think that the average person who gets a dog wants a Fido rollover. It's the image of the Labrador Retriever, the happy dog, the dog that comes and brings we don't have newspapers anymore, but the dog that brings you your slippers. It's a kind of wholesome American dog image. And a pit bull, unfortunately, has been trained for aggression. Now, the question is aggression endemic to the pit bull's overall behavior, or is that something that's trained into the dog, programmed into the dog, rather?
That is programmed programs is dog pit bulls want to please their owner at any cost. They know their
Yeah,
owner
breaking up a little.
fight. They will fight because that's what will make their owner happy. But because when I got them and I told them these are your friends, they were so loving with the kittens that I brought in. Even mothers. And so they do it to please their owner, not because they want to.
Okay, but
Breaking up a lot.
yeah, Grace, if you could, I'm gonna have a quick discussion with Angel while you're kind of maneuvering around the room to see if we could get a little bit better audio. So
Okay.
while I talk to Angel, can you just get a little bit closer to the window and we may be able to get better audio that way? If you could, I see those beautiful plants behind you. Maybe if you could just sort of back up a little bit towards that window, we could get a better signal.
Yeah, this is as close as I can get to it. Yeah, I can't get any closer.
Okay, well, your audio's starting to get better.
Okay.
How do you deprogram an aggressive pit bull?
It takes a lot of rewarding positive reinforcement. When they do a good thing, that's when you reward them. Rather than acknowledging aggressive behavior, you reward them for being gentle and loving. And when they do something good, they're so food motivated. So whenever they would do something good, I would give them food, some sort of snack, and they loved it. It takes time, but it can be done.
Well, actually, pit bulls. I mean, if you go to the history of the pit bulls, they're actually nannies.
Yeah.
They used to have them taking care of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and as nannies, and also if you see the movies, I mean, doing the Little Rascals
Uh-huh.
Right.
back in the 30s, and they were always loyal,
Yeah.
very loyal, very protected to the family. They're like little babies themselves.
Yes.
I think, and the thing is, what happened is in the history they started using the bulldog, the pit bulls. That's what called a pit. They used to fight in a pit, and they trained them that way. And supposedly, also when they're fighting, they don't. When they break them up, they don't attack nobody. They stop because if they do, they get hurt. They eliminate that dog. It can't use for fighting no more.
Yeah.
So these dogs are very, very loyal, and that's the reason why they have to be taken care of so good and not into these fights.
They're very loving dogs. When I would have kittens in the house, the one that just passed away, he would put his paws on top of the table, grab them with his mouth, and pull them off, and take them and run into the room and clean them, bathe them, and as if he was their mother. They're very loyal.
Yeah, you're breaking up again a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think you're holding on to the phone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, when you start moving around, you come out clear. I'm not saying it's that. I'm just saying I don't know. Try again.
If I move around,
yeah, because
See, right now you're perfect.
yeah, what happens is it breaks up the audio signal, but we'll still try to persevere.
So that on the video, it shows a big pit and a little kitten.
yes.
That's yours, right?
Yes, yes.
Is
There's tons of pictures. If you were to look through my Facebook, there's tons of pictures with the dogs with little kittens because they were taking care of them.
How long did it take when let me rephrase the question. when the previous owner was first introduced to those pit bulls, when he first acquired those pit bulls, what condition were they in?
The smallest one, Shaq, he was tied to a pole or a tree with about 2 feet of rope or chain to move on. He was burnt, beaten, and probably used as a bait dog. So he had a lot of trust issues and abandonment issues. And when I got him, if I brought a broom out to sweep my floor, he thought I was going to hit him. So it took a lot of me showing him I can do these things, and he wouldn't have to worry about his safety. I would actually hold him while I would sweep, and that made him understand that I was doing something around him, not to him. But they were abused. And even the other dog that I have, he was left out in crates in the sun, in a crate that was too small for him. So till now, he walks kind of bow-legged because his bones didn't get a chance to straighten out, while he had his other dogs in the house in air conditioning.
Well, that's a little sobering information. How long were those dogs in that condition?
I think was maybe a year or 2 years old before his owner surrendered him to my friend Bill, who passed away. And Shaq might have been about a year or 2 years old as well before Bill had rescued him from that tree or pole in that yard.
And so it probably took an equal amount of time to get those dogs readjusted to good human beings.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Animals can sense when they're around people who have bad intentions. So, they remember specific types of people, certain actions. So that's possibly why when I got Shaq and I would take a broom and move it, would flinch. But it does take a long time for them to forget.
Now, they are welcoming to other people, or do they bond with one owner?
They are very loving to whoever I introduce them to, but they know that their mom.
Right, so they protect you. They're basically, because they have a reputation of being protective also.
When I was walking them together, I've only seen them turn around and growl at one person, ever, in the 8 years that I've had them.
I'm just curious, that person that they growled at, did you know that person, was it a bad person, or was it just a random person?
The mailman.
It was a random person walking, but maybe they were up to no good and the dog sensed it,
Yeah.
Probably a mailman undercover.
Now, do you rehome pit bulls, or right now you were just focused on the two that you had adopted?
Yes, I'm focused on the two that I permanently fostered for my friend who passed away, and I already had one pit bull myself. So total, I have 3. So eventually, I'd like to start fostering and adopting out again.
So when you look at animal shelters, at least in the neighborhoods that I've been in, which aren't particularly great neighborhoods, but the bulk of the dogs that have been surrendered are pit bulls. Why is that?
Because I think a lot of times people don't want to put work in to them, for one, because you have to work with them every single day. And by experience, I realize a lot of apartments, homes, housing, even home insurance do not want people with pit bulls.
Wow.
And that is sad, because right now I am struggling trying to find a place.
Well, they consider them as under the category dangerous dogs, like pit bulls and German shepherds.
Yes.
They put them as dangerous. A lot of people are suffering that with the insurance. They actually say, like, for example, most pit bulls are mixed with another. So, in other words, if it's a pit bull Labrador, they say my dog is a Labrador.
Yes.
So they could fit in the insurance. And they're not lying. It is half Labrador. If you say the word pit bull, forget about it.
Yeah.
And there are dogs that look like pit bulls and they're not in the dangerous category, and they say, "Oh, that's a pit bull." No, it's not. It's a Corso. No, it looks like a pit bull. It's a pit bull. They characterize it as one group.
Yes, like they put an umbrella term over so many different breeds of dogs.
Yeah.
So those are the two things that I feel are the biggest contributors to so many shelters is lack of housing that will accept pit bulls and training. People don't want to put in the training.
But also, the people cannot want pit bulls for the ego, and they can't control it, and now they have to get rid of it somehow, and that's why they do. They have them tied up on a tree or just let it loose in the in the field, and that's where the dog goes to survival mode, and that's when you get bitten too.
Yeah.
So also the COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
The COVID itself. After the COVID, everybody got to give their pets away to the shelters. They're
A lot of
overcrowded.
adopted dogs during COVID because they were home. They wanted companionship, and then when they had to go back to work, they figured they don't have time to take care of the dogs anymore, and then they surrendered them.
What about there's always the we couldn't have the discussion without the pit bull breeders who use pit bulls solely for fighting. I don't know how much interaction, if any, you've had with these pit bull owners who breed these dogs just to fight, but there's a lot of money to be made in that. And it's a horrible undercover industry. What do you know about that?
A lot of people have asked my boys were neutered. They would ask me if I was interested in breeding my dogs because if I use them as studs, I could get one puppy, and they would pay me about $1,000 to stud them out, and I would be able to keep one dog. $1,000 is a lot of money, But for what? To have more puppies end up being abused, as bait dogs, and then even in the shelters and put to sleep. And thankfully, all my dogs are neutered. So people have constantly approached me, especially with my biggest dog, because he's 136 pounds, beautiful, and even they're all absolutely beautiful. And people approach me so many times about breeding them, and I said no.
Do you think that's the reason why there are just so many pit bulls out there? Because I mean, when you look at the at the adoptable dogs in shelters across the country, the overwhelming majority of those dogs are pit bulls, and the people are incentivized to stud these dogs out for money.
Yeah.
And it just seems like an endless cycle because you're going to have these dogs that are being used to, proliferate, and people are going to get paid, but then you're going to have these dogs abandoned at the same time. So it just seems like it's just that the pit bull itself has become an industry, and there doesn't seem to be any abating. Doesn't seem to be any stopping. Angel, do you want to talk about? Or actually, Grace, do you want to talk about that?
Angel, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, the thing is, like, any type of popular dog. Right now is the French bulldog. Any dog that becomes popular gets overbred and sold for thousands and thousands of dollars. And it depending where it goes. I mean, like for example, Canada. Canada is a banned pit bulls. So they bring them over, they put them in the trunk, and they bring them over, and they sell them for thousands and thousands of dollars. It's like a black market almost, you know. And I remember that's the case once. It was going from North Carolina to Canada. So I reached out to rescues in Canada for there could be alert over there about the dogs they're bringing over. And there's so much money involved. The same thing now with the French bulldogs. The more crimes out there, the more people want it. You know what I mean? Back in the days, it used to be Jacqueline. Everybody wanted a white German Shepherd. And so it depending, and Lassie. Everybody wanted Lassie. So depending on the breed, but the pit bull is always in most for me is not only because it's popular, but it's also because of the ego of the person. Okay, I don't want to mention drug dealers and stuff like that because that's part of it probably, but it's mainly ego. I have a pit bull. They put a whole bunch of chains around the dog. I mean, I'm saying to myself, why don't you just put the change on yourself to see how you walk? And and they try to with the choke chain, all this, and they want to be big and bad with it, and it's it's an ego thing. So I mean, you can't be walking around with a Chihuahua with a lot of chains, because there's no ego there. So they picked the pit, But let me ask you one thing though: is pit bull a breed itself, or the breed itself would be a terrier, bull terrier?
Pit bull is an umbrella term for a bunch of different breeds that have a certain look, very like a big head, big thick neck, stocky, muscular. So it covers a lot of different breeds, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
What is the ideal environment for a pit bull? In case there's somebody up in the audience who says, well, I really wasn't thinking about getting a pit bull, but I don't know what kind of circumstance I need to raise a pit bull properly.
I hear people tell me I don't have enough room in my house, so I need to get rid of my dog. And I would tell them, for one, Bill had 3 dogs in a studio, a very small studio. I have 3 dogs over 300 pounds, and half the time they're right next to me. So when people tell me they don't have enough space, I know it's a lie. They don't care about the space. They don't care what kind of furniture you have. They just want to be with you. So the type of environment I would say is a nice, loving environment. It has nothing to do with how much space or if you have a yard, if you have good furniture.
But,
They don't care.
but what about they say that the dog traits mimic the traits of the owner. So if you're kind of a I don't know, a librarian nerdy type, is the pit bull the dog for you, or am I biasing the biasing the personality?
Um, I've seen all different kinds of people having pit bulls lately. It's not just, you know, younger kids having pit bulls, but I'm a 5'2" Asian, 126 pounds, walking 3 dogs that are over 300 pounds. So, people look at me and they're surprised that as an Asian person, I have 3 very large dogs. So it, it really doesn't matter what kind of person you are, as long as you're good to them, it, you know.
As long as you take time with them. People have a dog or a cat or any kind of animal and just say, I have a dog, but what time do you have with the dog, which is zero to none, and then they'll wonder why they have problems.
Yes, exactly. I would, I would see my friends telling me, oh, they have a pit bull, and I would ask them, where is your dog? Because I never see them. Oh, she's in the basement. She's in the back room or in the garage. Like, that's why your dog is not trained or behave. That doesn't know how to behave because you leave them alone. How is the dog supposed to know what is appropriate for them when people come around, or what's appropriate to do in the house? Yeah, they're going to chew up the wall in the garage because they're left alone all day long. They're bored. They have anxiety. So they you have to show them what is right. You have to reinforce the good behavior for them, praise them, and talk to them. They understand.
So it sounds like they require, um, I wouldn't say the same amount of time as other dogs do, but it sounds like a pit bull requires a little bit extra time from the owner.
No, I don't know.
But the dog, I mean, most dogs, including pets, most dogs, they look at you like saying, what's next? What you want from me? What you want me to do? You're my boss. You tell me what to do. If they don't see that happening, guess what? They become the boss. And if a pit bull becomes your boss, you're done. You're done because they're very powerful dogs. Okay, you don't want a pit bull to take over the family. You have to take over the pit bull.
So I think that's the answer. It's like you have to be the alpha male,
Yeah.
basically, and let the pit bull know that you're running the show and not him or not her. And maybe that's the key to raising a good pit bull, or a pit bull that you can live with.
Raising a dog for that matter. Because when I first got these dogs, and they're just getting to know each other, they would fight, and so I would have to raise my voice to get their attention. And the sound of my voice hitting a certain level, their reaction was like, "Oh, we better stop. She's upset with us now," and they would just split up really quick. But they knew that I was in charge, not them. And when I tell them to stop, they have to stop.
Another thing people do is they treat them like children. So what happens? Children don't do that bad. I don't want you to do that. Don't do it no more. And they gave them a lollipop, right? But with a dog, you can't tell them at that moment they did something bad. No, and you start petting them because you pet them. They say, "Oh, I did something good. I tore up the sofa." You cannot. You ignore or you tell them no, and ignore them, and then from there, when they calm down, whatever, you start petting them. They say, "Oh, this is what they want me to do."
Ah.
And then if the dog does an accident in the house, 2 hours later you see it and you start screaming at the dog looks at you, "Why are you screaming at me?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong?" But then it has to be at the moment.
Yes.
Well, and with that, we are winding down towards the end of our show. But I want to ask you, Grace, if is it do you have is your pit bull endeavor an organization? Because if it's an organization, there may be people who want to volunteer. There may be people who want more information about pit bulls. How can they contact you?
I have my Facebook page, Pit Crew Rescue. Pit Crew Rescue 2, if you see on the screen there.
Okay, so they would say your audio is breaking up, so I'll repeat it for the audience. Grace has a Facebook page called Pit Bull Rescue.
No. Pit Crew 2 Rescue.
Okay, maybe we should spell that out, Angel, for the people who are watching. P-I-T.
Then know it's CREW.
Right.
And then has 2 lines, like a 2.
Like the Roman numeral.
Right. And rescues.
Pit Bull Rescue. Okay, and the name is Grace Sato.
Yes.
Angel, I'm going to give you, Grace, thank you so much for educating us about pit bulls. And Angel, going to give you over there the last word.
Yes. Grace, thank you for coming. And I have to say one thing. You're from Hawaii.
Yes, I am.
I love saying that. So that's why I had to repeat it. Hawaii.
Hawaii.
And she's very talented. She's into shooting. She's into martial arts, which everything you put it together, and pit bulls, everything together is calm. Everything is united. Everything is controlled. And that's the best thing. And if you want a pit bull, you have to do your homework. You have to know what you have. Even if it's a goldfish, it doesn't matter. You learn what you have. It's like a hobby. Okay. And if you can't have a pit bull with you and it's too crowded or whatever, guess what? Volunteer. Take the pit bull and do the walks. Feed them at the shelters. Get involved. And you still be with a pit bull. And please, everybody, spay and neuter your pets. And do you know where your pets are?
So that's it. Good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Brother Nieves, take us out.